This video is some disappointing news about Nintendo Switch 2. It's by Review Tech USA. This dude makes good videos. Let's see what he has to say about it.
The Nintendo Switch 2 is for men. It's for men. Not for birds. Skip it up and that up. So I love this time of year. Well, all kidding aside, I am always fascinated with the rumor mill when we know a new piece of hardware is coming from a company, whether it be a mid-gen refresh, mid-gen upgrade, or next-gen console. It's interesting because when you look back, you'll see what rumors were true, what weren't, and usually I've been doing this for a long time. Everything kind of falls in between, where some stuff was absolutely ridiculous and laughable. You look back on it and how did anyone even think those rumors were true? And other stuff, maybe...
I mean, there has been a lot of rumors surrounding like the Nintendo Switch 2 at this point. Some I believe, some I don't. I do believe there's a developer overseas that does have a development kit. I do believe that.
Even that you thought wasn't going to be true.
I do believe the dev kits are out there.
So... I love this stuff. I love new
That's
technology.
the only one I really believe.
So here we are. Well, it seems that we got more interesting, and to some people it's going to be disappointing because I saw the same feelings towards another console that I'll mention in a minute when it had this option. There is a Reddit user named Soldier Delta. Now, of course, Reddit user, microscopic, well, salt is usually a microscopic grain, but take like the smallest microscopic grain of salt and then make it even smaller. However, this guy predicted and showed screenshots of the Team Ninja exclusive PS5 game, Rise of Ronin. So he's predicted things in the past before. Does that mean that he's right about this and not pulling it out of his ass? No, I did pull this bird out of my ass once, though.
That's pretty impressive. See, I told you guys he made good videos.
But yeah, of course he could be making this up just to have people have eyes on him at the moment. So again, take this as it is, but it sounds interesting. And in 2024, the stuff he's saying about like different prices and different features of different next-gen consoles from Nintendo makes sense. This comes from gamerrant.com. I'll read it to you, then we'll discuss. The next Nintendo console, we're just going to call it the Switch 2. That's what GamerRant is calling it, or Super Nintendo Switch would be a banger. Will be significantly more expensive than its predecessor and split into two models. So there's a lot of people who are going to see two disappointments here. I personally don't care, but this means really the beginning of the end for something. Let's continue. The insider also claimed that the system is planned to hit the market much later than what some past Switch 2 release window reports suggested. Now,
see that doesn't shock me. I've been saying for a while, like I don't think we're going to hear about it till sometime, mid to late next year, and it might not come out till, 2025. The earliest we'll get it is, fall season next year, but I really doubt it. I think it's going to be a 2025.
Soldier Delta, the guy who knew about the PS5 exclusive from Team Ninja, Rise of Ronin. So I'm bringing that up again because it gives him a teeny tiny little bit of validity. This is what he said about the next-gen Switch. Buckle up. Soldier Delta has once again taken to Discord on October 6th with a claim that the Switch 2 will have a digital-only mode that will retail for $400. There we go.
That's not too bad.
There you have it. Whereas the standard edition of the console will supposedly be $50 more expensive. For example, the original Switch...
Oh, I mean, who cares? $50, boo-hoo. If you want cartridges... pay the $50. If you don't, get the digital. It's that simple. Come on, really.
Which I predicted at the time. Another prediction I was wrong about, which I thought was going to be $250, ended up being $300. So this is going to be a lot more expensive. but I'll give my take on the price of it in a second. Let's continue. While the leaker characterized the pricing as subject to change, they seemingly insisted that the dual model lineup is set in stone, I believe it, on 2 separate occasions. Soldier Delta also said that Nintendo is planning to release the Switch 2 on September 24th, 2024. The gaming
in September 2024. So that kind of falls in line with what I just said, like fall season next year or, 2025. I don't think we get it in September. I think he's wrong on that one. Whoever this soldier guy is, I think I think he might have pulled that one out of his ass.
Giant supposedly even set a fallback release date in case something goes wrong, which is November 3rd. Supply chain issues, which in a post-COVID era is something to think about, as per the same source. Now they're saying that this next-gen Switch has the code name NG, which I'm assuming stands for next gen. It's not going to have an OLED screen.
It's a good assumption.
Keep hearing that, so I would almost consider that confirmed at this point. Maybe there'll be a surprise at the last second and Nintendo's just keeping the OLED screen under wraps, but whatever, kind of sucks. But if there's a lot of extra hardware in there that makes it way more capable than the current gen Switch, which sounds like that's going to be the case, I'm okay with going back to an IPS panel. The next gen Switch is also going to have AR features, augmented reality. I'm neither here or there on that. Depends on how they use it. I know technology has changed quite a bit, but the 3DS had augmented reality features. It was cute for like 5 seconds, but then you got over it.
Yeah, I never really cared for it. Wasn't something that was on my list of things I needed to have, I'm fine without it. I just want something that looks and plays well.
But again, I'm comparing current gen technology to a console that came out in 2011.
And for the love of God,
so times may have
60 frames
changed.
per
Maybe
second.
the augmented reality features will be a huge win. I'm going to probably guess not if I was a betting man, but who the hell knows? And there you have it, man. Nintendo is going the same route as Sony and Microsoft. The Series.
I mean, is it shocking that they're releasing 2 different consoles? I don't think so. I mean, this has been happening for a while. So, I mean, with PlayStation and Xbox, they both did it.
S doesn't have a disc drive. The PlayStation 5, you could get a digital edition, and even the revision that we're hearing about of the PlayStation 5, where it's the PlayStation 5 Slim, is not going to come with a optical drive. It's going to have a place where you could attach on an optical drive if you really want one. And from what we've seen from FTC leaks, the refresh of the Series X is just going to be a black cylinder with no disk drive. So there goes the disk drive on the Series X. And
let's be honest, disk drives are becoming a thing of the past. Like that, they're slowly going away. I mean, by next gen or the gen after that, we're not going to see discs anymore. Everything's going to digital. When's the last, you don't go out and, when you want an album, of music or a DVD, you don't go buy DVDs anymore. You just digitally buy it on your Amazon Prime and you have the movie. All you got to do is log into your Prime and you can watch the movie. Especially with smart TVs and that now, you don't have a DVD player hooked up to your TV anymore. There's a reason GameStop is going the way of Blockbuster. Exactly. Digital is the way to go now. Physical copies are becoming a thing of the past.
Nintendo is paying attention. They see that plenty of people are buying the games through the digital stores that both Sony and Microsoft offer, and they're saying, hey, let's just have a digital model, and people will probably just buy the games digitally, and they'll just get them from the eShop, so we get to control prices more. Now, I always tell this story when the Switch early in its life, and my son was very young, I had all of my Switch games. I was buying them, not all of them, but a lot of them physical still. And I thought that
the only way this sucks is for collectors. It sucks for collectors because now you can't go out and get rare copies of games in the plastic, unopened, unboxed, that whole deal. Once everything goes digital, that collecting, that is gonna take on a different. It's gonna be different. I think it's going to come down to I've got a console where they shut down the eShop 20 years ago, but it's got this game, this game, this game, and this game on it, and that's going to be your new collection. It's just going to be a console that has all these games on it, and you can't really sell them individually because they're all digitally on that console. So that console will just be worth more because of the games that are on it that you bought 20 years ago. That's what the collecting is going to be like in the future. It ain't going to be having physical copies of unboxed games.
At the time, my 1 or 2 year old son, there was a red little case they were in. I thought he moved them and hid them on me. Needless to say, they were in a just in a pile of in a laundry basket of clean clothes, and it must have got folded over. I was glad I found the games, but then I realized, you know what? Having physical games that are very small with a portable or hybrid console that you're taking with you everywhere isn't an ideal way to game on the go. So what I ended up doing is that from here on out, I bought all of my games, minus a couple exceptions here and there, digitally on the eShop.
I can't remember the last time I bought a physical copy of the game. It was probably a Switch game. It might have been Pokemon Sword. That might have been the last physical copy of a game I ever bought. If I'm being honest, I think it is. I don't think I've bought a physical copy of a game since Pokemon Sword.
Shop, which we'll talk about the eShop more in a second, because if you're going to have a console you're taking with you everywhere, it's just easier to have the games downloaded on the internal memory or micro SD cards. You could buy micro SD cards when they have fire sales.
They're so cheap
on Amazon. Sometimes there was a name brand company where they were selling a 2-pack of 1 terabyte micro SD cards for like $50-something. It's went up in price now, but you could get them very affordable, and it's just easier to have all your games on the device instead of having them.
It's very true.
A bunch of cartridges that could get lost, like mine almost.
Like even some of the off-brand ones, you can still get a terabyte, and they're only like $25. Like, seriously, just go get a. You don't need the.
So, I kind of been into digital on all consoles, but with the Nintendo Switch for about 5 or 6 years now. I'm over getting physical games that could get lost in places that you may put them and then blame your son and don't.
Here's another thing that could happen. You have physical copies of these games. Most of the games for these recent generations of consoles are on discs. I have a nephew, and he's young. He's like 2 years old. He comes over one day. He gets a hold of one of my discs, scratches it all up, sits it down, ruins the game. Now I have to buy the game again digitally or go out and buy another copy of the game. Whereas if I would have just bought the game digitally, there's nothing he could have done to ruin the game other than maybe smash my console.
Don't remember where they are. And I'm also not naive and know the downfalls of an all digital future. I just talked about it with Nintendo, where
I just talked about it too.
Not the stores. Obviously the stores are going to be gone, but say you had a DSi or a Wii for 4 months, game.
You know what I could see happening? You know how like you can get codes for games, and like they sell like the Xbox, cards and the Nintendo cards and the PSN cards where they got like $20 on them or $50 on them. When you go into like a Walmart or something, they're gonna have like little like pictures of each game in their display. And when you go to buy it, they're just going to give you a little, like, it's going to be a little card with a code on it. And when you'll go home to your console, type in the code, and that's how you'll redeem your game. I could see that being a thing.
Games that you bought, you won't actually be buying a physical copy. To re-download. That's the big problem
you could still
with
go
the
there to buy it, I
digital-only
guess.
future, and that's what people have concerns about. But the writing is on the wall. And the reality of it is that in many ways, it's more convenient for the games to just simply be on your Nintendo Switch. I know firsthand. You put a 1 terabyte card in there, and you have a borderline endless supply of your games that you purchase from the eShop. But now on the flip side, Nintendo, you want to go to an all-digital future? That's cool. Change your return policy like Microsoft and Valve have done. Sony is still behind, and they need to play some catch up and actually give a crap about the consumer. But at least if you buy a game and you don't download a single byte of it, Sony will let you get a refund. Nintendo, as soon as you hit, even if it's by accident, which I don't really know how you could do, but there have been exceptions, Or if you change your mind, as soon as you hit purchase, you own that game. That's it. Even if you didn't download a single byte of it, doesn't matter. Nintendo does not have a return policy for.
Nintendo actually did me good one time. I accidentally renewed my Nintendo Online subscription. I called them like 2 days after it renewed. I didn't know it renewed, and I asked for a refund, and I wanted to cancel it, and they went ahead and did it. Didn't give me any problems. It was like a 5-minute phone call. I was very shocked. I thought there was no chance in hell I was getting that refund.
For the eShop. You got to change that, Nintendo, if you want to go into the old digital future. But will they eventually do it? Yeah. They'll probably go into a kicking and screaming like Sony did with crossplay. Remember how much they fought with crossplay with games like Fortnite and things like that? But eventually they'll succumb and have some kind of return policy on the eShop. Mark my words.
These days, everything should be
when
crossplay.
There's a huge flack that they get from the consumer after the next gen Switch is released. It's like, hey, you want me to buy an old digital console, but you don't have a return policy? They'll fold, they'll cave, they'll fight, but they'll eventually cave. I know some people this is going to be disappointing. I know there's a lot of people who don't want to see a digital only future, and I understand and agree with your reasons behind it, but we're already there, man. A lot of times you buy a game, and even if you buy it physically, until you get a huge multi-gigabyte download, the disc is worthless anyway.
True.
Welcome to the future. It's dystopia when it comes to gaming, and essentially, we're already in it. Your disc is nothing more than a coaster without the updates you have to download from the console.
Yep.
This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing.
Because if you think about it, every time you buy a physical copy of a game, you put it in your console, it installs the game, and then it has a download it has to do. And that's just like the initial update or the operating files for the game. Like that. There's not a lot on the disc other than the initial image of the game.
Cutting out. Have a good one. At least you could trade the games in, though, if you want. That's the one thing that physical games still have going for them.
Yeah, true.
Can't trade in your digital games, at least yet.
That was a good video, guys. I'll put that link to that video down in the description. Review Tech USA always puts out really good videos. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Peace.